Hey, what's up, everyone? It's your favorite casual basketball fan, Skinny Hardaway. The NBA season is here, and by the time this video is up, it'll probably have already been a week or two into the season, and the hot takes have probably been as absurd as a square peg fitting perfectly into a round hole. I came across an article from our good friend David Aldridge, and I found it quite interesting. He decided to do 24 questions, some basketball related and some not, and I thought they were for the most part pretty good questions. So I'll piggyback off these questions and give my own thoughts on some of them. I won't address all 24 because it'll turn to a very long video, and as I mentioned, some questions weren't NBA related. And just for fun, I'll add a 24-second shot clock. I won't guarantee that I'll answer every question under 24 seconds, so expect a few, or a lot, of shot clock violations. So what's the point of playing this season? I think this season will be very entertaining. We had an entertaining offseason, so I think the regular season will follow suit. There's plenty of storylines that will unfold in just the first 2 days of play. Cavs versus Celtics, Kyrie playing against his old team, Rockets versus Warriors, CP3 and Harden playing together leading the high-octane offense under offensive guru Mike D'Antoni. Spurs versus Wolves, the young core of Towns, Wiggins, and Butler look to have a promising season. And then the Thunder versus Knicks, which Melo will be playing against his former team too. The season opener couldn't be any more perfect. Now, I know what this question is really alluding to, and that's what seems to be the expected finals matchup of the Cavs versus Warriors Part 4. And for the most part, I believe that this is a foregone conclusion, but I don't think it's fair to write off the entire season based off of one finals matchup. Plus, you have the postseason to enjoy also. We might see some upsets or shocking games during that time. Are the Thunder now a legit threat to the Warriors? In a perfect world, I would say yes, they are, in the sense that they will be competitive with the Warriors. But if we're being real with ourselves, the answer is no. I can look at the competitive aspect of this, but I think there's at least 4 to 5 teams that can be competitive with the Warriors. But I think the goal for those teams is to beat them. The Thunder have an attractive roster to go head to head with the Warriors, but at least 2 of the big 3 will have to have a career series against them in the postseason for them to at least push it to 7 games. And that's not even guaranteeing that the Thunder will have a puncher's chance in Game 7. Do I think the Thunder have a shot at beating the Warriors in a 7-game series? Yes, I do. But that's me wanting to see if the Warriors will sweat before they get to the finals. In reality, if they met, I'd say the series goes 5 games with 6 being at the most. Did not getting Carmelo Anthony hurt Houston or not? No, I think that's a good thing they didn't get Carmelo. I don't see Carmelo working in an offense with Chris Paul and James Harden. And if you put a lot of stock in the preseason, I personally don't. It looks like James Harden will still be the focal point of offense while Chris Paul handles the distributing duties. So, knowing that, the only time Carmelo will have the ball in his hands for an extended time is if one of those players on the bench and or if he's getting clocked with the bench unit. Melo is not a good defender, and I don't think D'Antoni will want to have Melo play defense, but they're going to need someone who can defend on the perimeter as they have Capella down low to anchor the post defense, and Luke Baamute, who I've always said has been a top-tier perimeter defender, fits the Rockets' nucleus. I think the Rockets are in a very stable place, and this team fits what D'Antoni wants to do, and I think the Rockets can make a deep run in the postseason with or without Carmelo. Can we just start the Cleveland versus Boston Eastern Conference Finals right now? Well, it's easier to say this probably won't happen now that I have to go back and rewrite this part after Gordon Hayward's injury, but I am on the record saying that I don't even think the Celtics were a top 2 team in the East pre-Gordon Hayward injury. I think the Raptors were better than the Celtics even with Gordon Hayward, so him getting injured still has no bearing on how I feel about the top 2 teams in the East. I still think that the Eastern Conference Final will be Cavs versus Wizards or Cavs versus Raptors. This will be a trying year for Kyrie Irving as he has to really lead this team now, and based on his play style, I think there will be some difficult moments, but I think they can win at least 45 games with this squad. This is a great opportunity for the Celtics to get those bench players some valuable minutes, and they can learn their strengths and weaknesses. The young guys in Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum should see a spike in production now. Could Curry break his record of 402 3-pointers in a season? And a short answer, no. But if that is to happen, then that means he'd have to literally shoot 75% of his shots from deep and hit at least 40% or better just to make that happen. And that's just going off of last season numbers because we can't forget that he plays on the Warriors and has to share the ball with 3 other All-Stars. So I don't think Curry is shooting over 1,000 threes in the season just to break his record. If anything, I think he prefers it to stay that way because that is the same year he won the first unanimous MVP in NBA history. So that 402 has some weight behind it and extra history that goes deeper than the surface. So who's going to regret their offseason? In a perfect world, I say none of the teams will, but if I had to pick one, I'd go with the Washington Wizards. Funny, yeah, I know I previously had said they're arguably the second best team in the East, but if they made a couple more serious moves, then I'd put them very close or on par with Cleveland Cavaliers. But when the only move you made was sign Otto Porter to a 4-year, $108 million deal, and that's only because the Brooklyn Nets forced your hands to do it, yeah, that's not good. I'm not saying Otto Porter isn't a good player. I think he's perfect for what the Wizards needs on that team. It's just not for that price. And since the contract ate up so much of the Wizards' cap space, now they're essentially forced to make a deep run in the postseason with the same exact team as they had last year. Should NBA coaches such as Stan Van Gundy, Steve Kerr, and Greg Popovich stick to sports? If you hadn't heard it by now, then I'll fill you in. Some NBA coaches have some very strong opinions about the guy in the White House, and I'm all for freedom of speech. Just make sure that you're educated on the topic. And from what it sounds like, they knew what they were talking about. But what grinds my gears is when fans or outside people like to tell coaches and athletes to quote unquote stick to sports. That is a very asinine statement and it makes no sense. They live in America just like you and I. And to tell them that they should stick to sports is telling them that they shouldn't have their opinions or give their opinions based on their professions. I don't go and tell you guys to stick to your day job when you're discussing sports with me and I disagree with your stance. That's not fair, nor is it right. I love how athletes of current are taking a stand and aren't afraid to speak their minds a la LeBron James and Steph Curry, and aren't afraid of what the other side will say about them. Looking at you, Michael Jordan. Who's going to be Rookie of the Year? I think it'll come down to 4 players: Ben Simmons, Dennis Smith, Lonzo Ball, and Josh Jackson. The reason for these guys is it has to do with the makeup of their teams. Ben Simmons will be given the keys to the Sixers as their point forward, and I think he has possibly the best vision out of any rookie this year. As you know, I do favor pass first guys, and that's how I played, but Simmons is a 6'10", 240 plus pound frame that'll allow him to dominate smaller guards and slower big men. Dennis Smith is a guy I like to watch, and I think the Mavs got the steal of the draft. He reminds me of a young Derrick Rose as far as explosiveness and ability to just be more athletic than his matchup. I hope he stays injury free, which Rose wasn't able to avoid. Lonzo Ball is one of my favorite players to come out of this draft. As you guys might also know, I'm a big baller too, so I'm hoping for the best for Lonzo. His court vision is already good and he has the benefit of being on a very bad team. So if he piles on the stats and they win at least 30 games, then he can take it home. Josh Jackson, he's probably my dark horse for this. He's a guy I've championed multiple times if you follow me on Twitter and Google+, and I still stand firm and I think he's the best overall player to come out of this draft. He's a two-way player that could potentially reach Kawhi Leonard status. He's already coming in as an Andre Iguodala mold, which will benefit the Suns as of right now. He's going to see a lot of clock at Phoenix, and you will see what he's made of. But I think the Rookie of the Year will end up in Ben Simmons or Lonzo Ball's hands. How much does Dwayne Wade have left? Alright, so let's paint this real quick. Have you ever been driving and realized that your meter is past E, but yet you were still able to drive about 20 miles to the closest gas station? Wait, you haven't? Oh, well, the point of that analogy was to say that Wade has one more year of some type of positive production left. After this season, he'll go back to Miami and have his jersey retired. This right now with LeBron in Cleveland is just to give all the fans like me a trip down memory lane and a one more time for old time's sake for those two. But side note, it's crazy how LeBron, Carmelo, and Wade and Bosh were all drafted in the same draft, but LeBron is the only guy still going strong and has been the best player for over a decade. Crazy, man. Should we feel some type of way about the Blazers? Yes and no. I think the Blazers are a good team. Their starting 5 might be one of the most competitive in the NBA. It's just that they play in the West, and most teams that were better than them last season, well, got better. I've already stated that Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum will have to do in order for this team to try to reach top 4 to 5 seed. And as for the time being, they could sneak into the 7th or 8th spots with the team that they have right now. Should we write off the Clippers post CP3? The Clippers as a whole, possibly. I think they still make the playoffs. We shouldn't write off Blake Griffin. He's still an all-star caliber player, and now that Chris Paul is gone, I think that we will see him shine more. He can handle the ball pretty well for his size, and he's extended his range to the three-point line occasionally. This team is a top 5 seed as is. They got a lot back in return for CP3, which I think people tend to forget. They won't compete for a championship as I thought that window closed after the 2015 playoffs when they knocked off the Spurs in an exciting 7 games and looked to be the team that could make it to the finals, and then to turn around and blow a 3-1 lead to the Rockets in the second round. It kind of showed me that the writing was on the wall for this team to be blown up and start all over again. Could Kyle Kuzma be the best rookie on the Lakers this season?
Big baller brand, we here to stay.
New Orleans, what gives? Honestly, I'm not sure. I think that Anthony Davis needs to get out of Dodge and go play for a team with a sense of direction and that could surround him with talent. I like the idea of the Twin Towers and DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis, but they can't do it by themselves when the organization isn't surrounding them with adequate talent. I don't think the Pelicans make the postseason, which means Cousins is out faster than the speed of light, and Davis is locked in until the 2019-2020 season with the player option in 2020-2021. He's had trouble staying on the court injury-wise, but I think that he might ask for a trade at some point next season, and I wouldn't blame him. The organization is dysfunctional right now, and they feel that if they can keep taking advantage of Davis's laid-back demeanor, that he'll be okay with playing on bad teams. He's 23 years old right now, and he's entering his peak prime. So if they want to take advantage of that, then I would recommend them getting him some help sooner than later. LeBron is leaving the Cleveland again after this year, isn't he? I don't think so. The only teams or situations better than what he's in now is the Warriors and Spurs. And I don't think that they have the payroll to pay LeBron what he wants, so I doubt those options happen. LeBron has had good teams since he's came back to Cleveland, unlike the ones he never had in his first 7 years there. The only team he didn't have at full strength was during the 2015 postseason, and even with that, we saw more aggressive, albeit reckless, LeBron, which I think he doesn't want that to happen ever again. With Kyrie leaving, the MVP talks have become his loudest jet engines for James as he comes in as the co-favorite to win the award. I just find it hard for him to leave what seems to be his second city and go start somewhere new and unfamiliar. LeBron is still the best player in the NBA after 15 years, and I think he knows what the ramifications are if he decides to go somewhere else. Now I'm all for leaving if he does. I don't care for the Cavs franchise, and I strongly dislike Dan Gilbert, and I don't think LeBron owes him or the organization anything, period. I just don't think that he's leaving this time. Well, unless we see the formation of the Banana Boat squad. How will the playoffs go? In the East, the teams that will make the playoffs will be, in no order, Toronto, Cleveland, Washington, Boston, Milwaukee, Miami, Philly, and Charlotte. In the West, the teams that will make the playoffs, in no order, Golden State, San Antonio, Houston, OKC, Los Angeles, Clippers, Minnesota, Portland, and Denver. The Eastern Conference Finals will be the Cleveland Cavaliers versus the Washington Wizards. The Western Conference Finals will be the Golden State Warriors versus the Oklahoma City Thunder. The finals matchup will be, surprise, Golden State Warriors versus Cleveland Cavaliers. I got the Golden State Warriors in 6 games to win the championship, their 3rd championship in 4 years. Any crazy predictions that people really aren't predicting? The Warriors win 70 games this season. Russell Westbrook will average another triple-double. Giannis Antetokounmpo will be top 15 in every major statistical category. That's points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. And LeBron James will be the first player since Jerry West in 1969 to win Finals MVP while being on the losing team. Are y'all feeling those? Let me know in the comment section. How do you know so much about the game but you're a casual fan? Not sure. I think I'm a casual fan, so that's why it's easy for me to call out other casual fans. That's it for me, everyone. Thank you all for watching the video. If you enjoyed it, please hit the thumbs up and click that subscribe button and the bell for notifications on my channel. This is Skinny Hardaway signing out.